Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Cesar Quintero on the line, and he's founder of The Profit Recipe. Cesar, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks for having me.
All right, so excited to have you on the show today, and I know you just recently released a new book, so The Profit Recipe, Unlock Your Entrepreneurial Flywheel to Live Life by Design. First off, hey, I just want to say congrats on doing that huge accomplishment. Never easy to release a book, so congrats on the new release.
Thank you. Yeah, it was last week we just released, and we got to bestseller status. So it's always fun. That's always awesome. A game. You need to get there, but but it's fun. Thank you.
Great. So we'll definitely do a dive into the book and also to your company overall. So The Profit Recipe, and really one of the central themes here is how do people stop working 80 hours a week, and how do you build a multi-million-dollar brand? So great topic for today. But let's kick this interview off the way that we kick them all off with our Mission Matters Minute. So, Cesar, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission. Cesar, what mission matters to you?
My mission is all about, so I discovered in my entrepreneurial journey that my purpose is to empower others so that everyone can live a life by design. I truly believe that entrepreneurship changes the world, but that only matters and happens if the entrepreneurs and the leaders have the time and energy to focus on the things that they're great at and they love to do. So my mission is to get them there so that we can really change the world and leave it to us, in business and making the shifts that we need.
Fantastic. Love bringing mission-based individuals on the line to share why they do what they do and what excites them in the marketplace. So great stuff there. And I think just to go a little bit further, tell us a little bit more about your company and really how you got started on this journey. So tell us about The Profit Recipe.
Well, The Profit Recipe starts way back. I was 24 years old, and I'm from Venezuela originally in South America. And when Venezuela was going down, the socialist path, kind of had to move to the States, get married, and start a business all at the same time, because that's kind of what we do when we're 24, right? And
sounds very stressful. Go ahead.
Exactly. Well, there's no risk at that age. So I started a food delivery company, and this is 2004, so it's way before it Uber Eats and Facebook and all of that. Mm-hmm. So I went door to door and convinced people that delivered meals with convenience, right? And then they were healthy and the whole thing. So we were the first in market. So when the market grew, we grew with it. But then, the more we grew, the more and more I had to work and the less time I had for myself. So I realized I was working 80-hour weeks. I was not getting what I wanted from my business. I was frustrated. I was angry and resentful because I wasn't getting the money I wanted. I wasn't, doing the things that I wanted to do. And that's when I realized that I had gotten into the entrepreneurial trap where I was just working myself to death and not really getting what I needed from my business. So little by little, I read this book called Traction. I understood what my purpose was. I saw how misaligned my business and my purpose were at that moment. So I shifted the way I led, the way, more purpose aligned, more mission aligned, like you said, right? And that's when I realized, wow, my purpose is more to empower the people around me so that they can really take ownership and live the life they want to live. So I shifted that energy. And we implemented an operating system. We had a great team. And within a year, the company had doubled. The profits were through the roof. And I had more time for myself. And I'm like, wow, this is great. How did it get here? So reflecting on that, I eventually sold that company and started doing what I did for myself, for other entrepreneurs. And I started seeing a pattern. And I started seeing a lot of different stages, and that entrepreneurs get stuck in this trap of saying, because I started this business, I'm working a lot of hours and I'm putting everything in it. But what I like to say is, just because you started a business doesn't mean you have a full-time job in it. Sometimes you're not the best person to do those things. So I started to see these patterns with hundreds of entrepreneurs that I work with. And now that's why I wrote this book and The Profit Recipe. So I started a consulting firm to help entrepreneurs get out of that trap and start living a life by design, a life that is aligned with purpose and the ideal life that they want for themselves and their families. So that's why I wrote this book. It's about the 5 stages on how we get unstuck and move on the flywheel and create a flywheel effect so that we can live the life we want to live.
It's awesome. And love bringing authors on to really share, why they do what they do, and really the knowledge they've accumulated through the years and how they get that out to the marketplace. I think the book is a book just in general, and I may sound very biased as a publisher over here, but that's why I like to hear from the author side of things. Like, why did you choose a book? A lot of different ways you could tell a story. Why was creating a book important for you?
For me, it was about, getting the message out in a way, and also the way I wrote this book is very unconventional as well, right? So as a publisher, so this is not a book that you read cover to cover. This is a book that's really tied to entrepreneurship. It's messy, it's disorganized, and we look for what we need to. So you understand what stage you're in, and you can just jump to that chapter. It's more of a reference book. It talks a lot about the different stages, on how to get unstuck from those stages, and how to use best practices. So I wanted to have a dynamic way for people to just gather information, apply information in the most practical way possible so that they can really apply it immediately. So it's more of a handbook, and then you go through the stages and you jump back and forth. It's messy, like entrepreneurship,
I love it. An entrepreneur's entrepreneur book.
Exactly.
So on this interview, obviously, we won't have time to go through the entire book, number one. But number two, even if we did have the time, I wouldn't do it because I love helping authors sell books. So just for everybody listening, we're going to put, in the show notes, a link there that you can just click on the book or click on the link and head right on over and pick up a copy. But that being said, Cesar, give us a little bit of a flavor for maybe the writing style and what people can expect. I know you mentioned it's like a reference book. Is it written very academic, or are there stories that you share? Like give us a feel for the flavor of the writing.
Yeah, zero academic. As you can see by me and I'm more of a practice and practical way of how to implement things. I talk about reference book because you can really go so I define 5 stages of entrepreneurship, right? So the first stage is all about startup, how to get the right market fit, how to get to profitability, how to scale, how to go through that. And then once we get to that point as an entrepreneur, we need to improve as our leadership. So the second stage is leader by design, which is how do I look internally, vulnerably, and understand what are my true strengths and what are not? What are things I need to stop doing in my business? What are things I need to start delegating? And really embracing things like I was in charge of finances in my business for over 12 years, and I'm the worst cash manager there is. But everybody kept telling me that as a business owner, I needed to know all my finances and I needed to be on top of that. And I didn't know anything about it. So I'm like the worst person to do that. And in Leader by Design is about embracing who you are, your strengths and your weaknesses, and just being okay with that, right? And then once I understand my true leadership abilities, then I move into Team by Design, which I start developing a team both externally with coaches, mentors, and peers, and internally with my leadership team and all my structure, where now I start delegating those things that I'm terrible at. And that way people can start being empowered and taking responsibility and ownership of their roles and their jobs, and they're not dependent on me as the owner. And then we move into Business by Design. So we went from Startup by Design to Leadership by Design to Team by Design, and then Business by Design. Now it's about working without you. I need a business that doesn't need me to function, doesn't need me to scale. It's a business that we install an operating system, there's processes, do a cadence, everybody takes ownership of accountability. And lastly, once the business starts working without us and the 80 hours that we're used to, then I start living life by design. So these 5 stages, Startup by Design, Leader by Design, Team by Design, Business by Design, and ultimately Life by Design, typically in the entrepreneurial world, Life by Design takes you to a different startup, right? So once I sold my business, I started 3 other businesses. But they're more aligned with what I want. They're more aligned with my purpose. And now that creates a flywheel effect where now it goes faster and faster because I already went through the hard piece once, but the second and third is a lot easier to go through. So the way I frame this book is if you resonated with any of these stages and you feel you're at this stage, then you can jump to those chapters and just go and dig into how you can get unstuck from that stage and move forward to the next stage, so that then you can keep the flywheel moving.
Awesome. Well, Cesar, I know we just scratched the surface on what's in the book, and but we did get. I feel like we got a good chunk of what the readers can expect, and I want readers to go pick up a copy. So that being said, what's the best place for people to pick up a copy? Number one, and then number two, what's the best place for people to connect with you and your team to learn more about your company overall, the Profit Recipe?
Yeah, so our website is theprofitrecipe.com. That's where people can go and see our team and see all our resources and links. And the book is on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and it's distributed different places. I'm guessing Amazon is always the easiest way to go. But yeah, it's under the Profit Recipe. And now I have two books. This is my second book. The first one was more around my food experience, but this one is a Profit Recipe, how to unlock your entrepreneurial flywheel to live life by design.
Wonderful. And we'll put that all in the show notes. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you learned a lot. Don't forget, go pick up a copy of the Profit Recipe, and I hope that you benefit from it and use it on your entrepreneurial journey. And if this is the first time you've engaged with the Mission Matters platform, just to let you know, we're all about bringing on entrepreneurs, executives, and experts, and having them share, why do they do what they do? Like, how do they do what they do, and what can we learn from it? Like, if that sounds like interesting content that you're into and that excites and motivates you, then we definitely welcome you to hit that subscribe button, because we have many more mission-based individuals coming up on the line, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And Cesar, thanks again for coming on the show. It really has been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.